What's up, YouTube? I want to thank y'all for tuning in to this video. As always, man, to the subscribers that has been, to all my subscribers that has been here since day one, um, Thailand, trip to Philippines, to gym interviews and street and college interviews, man. I appreciate it. But today is the most touchy subject that I ever talked about, and I kind of wanted to avoid this, but you can't avoid what you encounter in real life. And I don't want anybody to down talk or to disrespect any like single mothers. That's not what this video is for. I'm just giving my honest opinion on my experience with single mothers, and seeing, explaining if I believe that dating them are beneficial or not. But it's not to disrespect, degrade, or anything like that. So let's keep the comment section respectful. Give your real opinion on what you feel or if you agree or disagree. But yeah, you could tell me, yeah, just tell me how you feel, man. But I'm going to try to do this video, as real as possible, as nice as possible. But sometimes you got, tough love is real, to me, and I like to give like tough love, because how are you going to move forward if you don't give tough love? Yeah, man. This again. I'm going to start with we're going to talk about the pros and cons. So I'm going to start with the bad, you know, the cons, and then stick through the video, and at the end I'm going to talk about the goods of it, and what can happen to where dating a single mother could be like beneficial, and good examples. So let's start with my experience with single mothers. I have dated, I have went on some dates with single mothers, man, and overall I'm going to bluntly say it has been I'm not gonna say a bad experience, but I'm gonna say it has been an inconvenient experience, because when you think about dating, single mom, you got to think about. Let's use this example. Like when I go on vacation, I had to make sure, me personally, for myself, that I'm not sick, that I'm healthy to go on the vacation, that I don't have nothing, keeping me away from it for that specific, extended amount of time. So when you date in general, you got to think about yourself, which you have to, clear and everything. And then this person, like for me, this lady has to think about herself and what she has to clear. So yeah, you are in dating just in general. Like, let's say it's both single people with no kids. The guy got to think about, him and the girl got to think about her and the guy, right? So when it's just a two-person date, the two people got to think about that. Let's say even with no baggage there, right? So when there is and excuse me for saying baggage, I'm not, don't take baggage as something that's me alienating, or saying that that's like a deal breaker, or saying that somebody is less of a human being because I'm saying baggage. Everybody has some sort of baggage to them, even if they don't have kids. I pay a car note, so that's baggage there. But yeah, back to the main thing. Um, yeah, so in a date, two people already got to make sure they're not sick, got to make sure that they are clear to do that and to have those specific times. But, when I date single mothers, I realize that, the kids are a factor, man. The kids are a factor. You got to think about, so the first thing is the kid could get like sick at any time. Like when I was in the Philippines, I met a single mother out there, and we was going to go on a date. And you got to remember, for me to go to the Philippines, I had to save up a lot of vacation time, and I have to save up a lot of money. And I'm only out there for as long as I could be out there before I have to return to work at a working age, meaning I'm not retired yet. I'm not at a retirement age. I wish I could retire now, but I'm not. So when I'm out there, or when I have that time to myself and I decide to like share that time with somebody, it almost has to be perfect, if I'm being honest, man. So I always give people like the benefit of the doubt. And like I accepted a date with a single mother out there that I met. It was in Naga City. Um, so I met her, let's say on the December 22nd, 2025. We talked for a while. Um, We got to know each other. Um, December 26th. No, no, no. December 30th came, right? And the plan was for her to fly, because by that time I flew from Naga to like a 35-minute plane ride to a nearby island, right? So the plan was for her, once she got that time off of work, to meet me there, whether plane or whether bus or whether like ferry, which is like a boat. But her son got sick. She had a 2-year-old son, and her son got sick. And the day of, she showed me a picture of them in the hospital, and in the hospital, and the son was just there, just like you could tell he was sick. Like he had the wristband, it showed the date and everything. Like she wasn't lying, and that is what it is. And like I have sympathy for the kid, right, and the mother, right. Um, don't get me wrong, I have sympathy, but again, I was only able to take a vacation one time in 12 months. I work in a hospital. That's a stressful environment. Everybody probably has a stressful job, I'm guessing, or something like a stressful job. And when you have that one vacation in a year, you know, you kind of like want to be kind of like free, like meaning no responsibility, um, especially me working in a hospital. I don't want to go on a vacation and go in a hospital. She wasn't asking me to visit the son in the hospital. She just couldn't arrive to the date because she had to attend to her son. And that goes to the example of how when you're in a one-on-one date, you already got to make sure, like I had to make sure I wasn't sick during my vacation time. I had to make sure I'm not healthy. She had to make sure she wasn't sick and was healthy during that date, that common mutual agreed date that we had. But when there was a kid, you got to think about the possible things that could come from when there's a kid involved. And that's an example there. The kid got sick and was in the hospital, and basically, it's kind of like where she's saying is okay. There's a next year we could reschedule. Well, she was mad because I couldn't stay, like another like 2 weeks, but I couldn't stay another 2 weeks. But she's saying like there's another year. But those are things that I have to think about, like those are things that I had to think about even with her. Like who's to say in a year something else isn't going to pop up, and I'm not faulting her for it, but that is possibilities, and for women that have like, and I guess you say guys too, but since we're talking about single women, for women that have like multiple kids, like that lady only had one kid, so imagine that there's like two kids, three kids, four kids involved. You got to think about those are four other people that woman has to think about or be clear of before she can spend that time with you, right? Which leads to, I dated a lady. It was a nice looking lady, man. She was like from Central America, I think. Yeah, she was in Central America. But she had, man, believe it or not, she had four daughters, man. She had four daughters. This was in the California, actually in my city, right? And we yeah, she invited, again, when you have kids, you kind of like limited to what you could do because of time and everything. You're rarely gonna have a babysitter or whatnot. So she had kids, so all of that. And then basically we came to the agreement that okay, and this is crazy, and like, all right, as I say this story, just think about the possibilities of everything, right? So she invited me to her house just to look, watch movies and talk to each other and get a vibe of each other. And during the movie, so her kids' age range was she had like a she had like a 1 year old, and the older kid was like, I want to say like 5, right? And it's all daughters. So if I'm a dad, which I'm not, but if my baby mom invited a guy over the crib that she live in, and my daughters are there, I'm going to kind of like feel away. So people have to think about that too. Like, so the daughters basically like came running, jumping on the like bed slash couch that we was on watching a movie, and the mom was looking like there was nothing wrong with it. And like me, I'm thinking, a lot of things like what is the baby dad gonna think? And I also don't want no like little girls that I don't know like that jumping on. I wouldn't even want my little cousins that are just jumping on the bed with a man like that, even if the mom is present, and just being that comfortable, because it's a lot of weird people that are going to take advantage of that, right? So that kind of made me uncomfortable. And yeah, and on top of that, the lady went to the restroom and left me over there with her kids just over there, bro. And thank God I'm not like a monstrous person, to do anything. But but yeah, this is not the bash her on this video at all, man. Like, I'm gonna talk to her about it. I don't talk to her anymore, but I'm gonna tell her, like, be careful with the next person. But yeah, just basically saying that kids, there are a lot of baggage. That's not a deal breaker, but there are a lot of baggage. You got to think about that. Like time is something that kids make a challenge. When it's one kid, that's a lot of time you got to think about. When it's two kids, that's more a bigger challenge of time. And the more kids, the more challenge of time that there is. And you got to think about how much time can you spend with this person. um, Especially when this person might have like only these days off from work. Like, this person had a stressful days at work, and he probably want to spend it with a girl, but she has to share. Yeah, and I get it. You got to prioritize your kids and the time, man. So time is another thing. Another thing is, you never know what's the story with the baby dad, right? Um, when you when you I used to be a bad kid, right? I used to be a bad, and I emphasize kid. I'm gonna say youth because I was bad until I was like 17, right? Used to get in trouble, a lot of fights, but as an adult, um, kind of like, I did. I got my life right. I got a license to my name, and I watch what I do, like, meaning I watch my company and everything, right? Um, a lot of these baby dads have feel like they have nothing to lose, right? So um they're playing with a more little risk than like somebody that probably like got a lot to lose. I'm not saying all that's the case with all baby dads, but if you somebody that's doing something with your life and you messing with a lady with kids, it's no telling that that baby dad is crazy. Or, and it's not that I'm scared. I'm not scared of anybody, but it's like, you could. I'm not willing to lose everything that I worked so hard to get by responding to this person in a way that I was taught to respond to people. So a lot of guys, when they get their stuff together, a lot of women call them high value. I don't think that. I don't have a lot of money. Um, I'm not broke, but I don't have like big money like that. But so the term high value is like a I don't know. I think it depends on who you ask, who could define it better. But you know, a lot of guys that a lot of women may look at as high value may avoid women with kids because of that simple. They call it a liability, the baby daddy's liability. Like, you know, that baby dad may know, like, let's say it's a doctor, that person's a doctor, so that baby dad might show up to that doctor's job, and that baby dad may not have no job at all and just show up to the doctor's job just because he's dealing with his baby mom, you know. And that just makes it like really really hard. Another thing, you got to think of the mental aspect of it, right? There, I see a lot. I'm going to say firsthand. I don't have kids, but I'm saying, like, through family members, through friends, through coworkers. Um, I'm not saying it's the baby dad's fault or the baby mom's fault who caused the trauma, who cheated, who did whatever, who was the initiator of the abuse, or whatever it may be, right? But a lot of the women, they go through like a lot of mental, like, it's a mental weight on their head, and that requires a lot of therapy. It's a lot of therapy, and a lot of guys, it's kind of like unfair for a guy that didn't cause it. Not It's kind of unfair for a guy that didn't cause it to consistently have to deal with it. um, get to the end of this video. I'm going to say, like, don't feel I'm talking bad about it, but I feel it's unfair for new. It's kind of like this. This is the analogy that I use. I use some wild analogies, but it's like a white person that had nothing to do with slavery, right? And let's say it's a black person that's just screaming or just mad at all white people, even the white people that had nothing to do with slavery, and they want the, like, specific white person that didn't do anything or his family had nothing to do with slavery, they want that person to also like pay for slavery or something like that. That's the best analogy I can use to describe it. Like the pain that these baby dads cause on these moms, I totally have empathy for them, right? Um, but it could be a challenge for a lot of these guys, like like that woman may go on this little like 6 months of no sex with a guy that she meet, and then now that new guy is gonna be like, he might like this girl, but he might dip his foot in different waters because this lady is like holding out on a need or that this guy may have, because she don't want to make the mistake that she made with her first baby dad, or as that's how she feel in her mind. And it could create something like, like now there's other people involved, but that basically that mental after war aftermath that the baby moms have, um, that or even when there was a breakup that happened, the baby dad could still press her button, and the new, I guess you could say, stepdad, or new guy might have to deal with that in his own house. So you got a new guy that has to deal with the baby dad's effect that she had that he has on the baby mom. So that baby dad could press the baby mom's problem at any point, and that new dad, the stepdad has to come home from work, that didn't cause anything, but he has to deal with the effect that the baby dad is causing, and a lot of guys is going to say that that's unfair. What else? I'm trying to watch what I say, as y'all could tell. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing or anything. Again, stick to the end of this video. I'll talk about, like the pros too. Um, right now I'm just talking about the cons, but at the end I'm going to talk about the pros. Yeah, so that's that. Um, yeah, man, I'm a conclude. That's all the cons I'm going to talk about now. Maybe I'll do another part two of a video if I want to talk about more cons. But let's get to the pros, right? So, well, let me add this last con, right? So it could be a bad kid, right? And it could be a real bad kid. That's it could be a mental problem, to where like this kid could be like destructive, and he could be diagnosed with a mental illness to where there's nothing that can happen, and the stepdad might have to deal with that, you know. Or it could be something that the kid just has a behavior issue where like a timeout or a whooping or a spanking could happen consistently, and then that kid will you know uh the kid may behave after that. But even within that, the stepdad has to deal with, all right, the baby dad, how's he going to take someone that is disciplining his offspring, and a lot of times, especially for the ones that don't have like assets or liabilities or anything to lose, they play by a different rule compared to people that may have something to lose. So that's something that has to be taken into consideration. And if a guy hears that, okay, his son is being like disciplined, or his daughter's being disciplined, he might he's going to hear it in a total different way, and he's going to react, you know in let's say in a wild, it's a high percentage chance that he's going to react in a wild way. So that's that. And with that, I'm going to stop the cons there, and now I'm going to talk about the pros, or what women could do, or possible good outcomes of it, right? So people that have women that have kids, right, they do have more experience being responsible. So if you do decide to date a single mom, you're it's a high chance that she's going to be more responsible than a lady that doesn't have kids. So that's one good thing. She's probably going to be used to being a caretaker, since she's already in the kitchen cooking for her kid. She might be, like that traditional, cook for her new guy, her new man, in the kitchen as well while she's already there. That's another, that's a pro there. This other pro, before I forget it. So I used to be a bad kid, and I was raised by a single mother, right? My mom did the rejection, right? Like she could have got she could have got a lot of guys, but she did a lot of rejections. We witnessed it firsthand. But let's say that there was a guy who saw the behaviors that I was doing, or and they say like, oh, this kid is like bad, and this is going to affect my desire to chase, this lady who's my mom, because this kid is going to cause a lot of trouble and just be mayhem, especially when he gets older. But like relatively now, I'm a very like responsible like young man, and I'm not addicted to anything. I'm not involved in any like any I'm not involved in anything. I just go to school, I work, I take vacations, I take care of myself, I go out the country, and I have loyalty, meaning like if there was a guy who, did take the chance on my mother while she had kids, I would make sure he would have been, like good, and looked at him as like a father figure, and like dedicated some of, the I guess the good credit, or the some of my income and in some sort to that person, out of like respect of the sacrifice that he's taken, right? So I say that to say, like, even if there is like a bad kid, that kid might turn into something, like good, like I am, or even better than I am. So investing, that time in a kid could be a good thing. You might, like you might have like that kid that isn't yours. You dodge like the crying 2 months, 8 months ages where you got to wake up at night, and you invested your time in a kid that was like, let's say, 2 years old until like, like 18, and now you have a kid that's like practically yours, but you dodged like the hard years, and since you was there for that kid could be good for you. Another tip that I would give single mothers is that you have to be open-minded, and this is harsh, but you have to understand that when you have baggage, you gotta understand that you have to make accommodations, even if it's the way that you think and how you've been living for your entire life. You have to make accommodations. Like it's some case. I'm not. Don't think I'm saying this video saying like a single mother has to be like a side girl, or accept multiple accept a guy making her like multiple wives, but if there's a chance where your kid just needs like male guidance, um, and without that male, and you love your kid, and without that male guidance, your kid is either going to end up like dead or in jail, and you'll be in a bad position as a single mother, as a pair. I mean, as compared to with someone as like, let's say, a poly, how do you say it, a poly relationship, to where like that guy may want to be with like multiple or two women, and he's showing consistent love to both. In some cultures that practice that, sometimes some of you single mothers might want to stop listening to what your friends think for guys that want to do that, and you might want to think about like the bigger picture, because like that guy might be able to um, kill two birds with one stone. Like it's two, he could, let's say it's two single mothers, that guy could be there for all of those children, and then he'll be doing like a good role for God, I guess, as far as like being there for all of those children. And still, now there was two single mothers that's not single no more, because they put their ego to the side and decided to allow this guy to have that poly relationship with them too. um, just as long as nothing is forced or anything is mutually agreed on. I do know friends are going to look. I'm not saying that that's what I would do. That I want a poly relationship, but I'm saying like I have talked to people, and interviewed people, and interacted with people to where uh, they're they decided to go the single route until they were like 60, and then they could have been with this guy even though that was his requirements, and even though this lady had all of these kids. And yeah, sometimes it is beneficial to make that accommodation, and stop listening to your friends and family if it's more beneficial for you and your kids, even if that guy wants to be in a poly relationship. I said it. I know it sounds bad. I know y'all probably gonna cut it off here, but like, at least hear me out and try to understand, man. Another thing, stop doing that because you had a baby with a baby dad that, let's say, he didn't work or anything, and you didn't get married before you had sex, or you did it like the first day you guys went on a date. We're not judging you, but don't make the new guy pay for that if the new guy's a good guy, right? Like, I'll tell you off the bat, if a woman tells me, and a lot of guys think this but they won't say it, but if that's the most foolish game that Steve Harvey taught a lot of these women, that you should make a guy that you want to settle down with wait an extended amount of time sexually before you have sex with him, especially like those months and everything. Because what do you think that guy is going to do? For you to, the guy that a lot of women typically go for after they deal with like guys that they think about is like bad baby dads, they go for like high value men. High value men are not going to play those games. Like high value men are going to, like, you tell a high value man he got to wait for sex, he's not going to wait for you. He's going to have other routes and women that he could call for that when, and he's going to think about this. He's going to think just like this. I know this is going to sound wild, but he's going to think like this. This happened to me, right? It was a lady that I went to school with, right? I went to high school with. She was like a grade younger, but we caught up with each other at the high school. And I'm not judging her, but she went through like a I guess you could say like a phase. Men go through phase too, so I don't judge women for going through phases. But like she told me that, oh, you're actually responsible, and she meant this, and I appreciate her saying it. She was like, you're responsible. You go to school. You got good credit. You're not addicted to anything and stuff like that. And she said, I don't want to rush into sex with you. I want to wait. And yeah, yeah. And in her mind, she thought that it was something that, and I get it. She thought that it was more going to work out for her saying that. But what I'm thinking, especially as somebody that, for me to have got like responsible or anything, like I'm thinking more so, and this is how a lot of guys think, but they won't say it. Me, I'm more so thinking like, all right, your ex, you didn't, that you thinking so low of, you didn't have those requirements of, right? But this person that you saying all of these good things about, you let the person that you saying all that or think so low of about have that opportunity with you, but you're making this person that worked so hard to gain the stuff that he has wait. So how guys are going to look at, they're not going to play that game, man. And I'm not joking when I say that, man. And I don't, I told that story to a lot of, some of my female friends, and they got mad when I said it. And it was like, I understand where the woman's coming, but but I would just tell women, don't play games like that, man. If you want to like like ask me an opinion on the guy that you're dating or something, before you have sex, but don't make that man wait all that time, because when I tell you, you're just opening the window for him finding other people. And when you open that window for him, men have needs, bro. When you open that window for him finding other people, he might, run across a woman that don't have kids, and might grow something from there. So just be careful with that whole Steve Harvey making people wait, and things like that. Another thing women have to do is be realistic. As guys, we got to be realistic, bro. We are realistic, or most of us are realistic, right? I always wanted to play basketball, but like when you a Marion or a Lil Bow Wow's height, you can't make it to the NBA. It's a tough reality, but it is what it is. It's no hard feelings, and we gotta accept reality. We understand that as men, we're judged primarily on our income, our status, especially as we get older, by women, and we understand that that's kind of our identity. And a lot of us may feel that it's unfair. It may be unfair, but we just deal with it. And those of us that decide to get our status up, or to get our income up, or anything, and whatnot, we just do it. And that's just what it is, you guys. Like, that's just what it is. That's what it is. A lot of men are judged, especially in the dating market, based on their status, especially when women get mature. Now, if you flip that, if you see the interviews that I posted, or and that I'm going to post more of, women gets judged not on their income, they get judged on their looks, right? Their looks, their fertility, and their pregnancy years. Like, meaning guys are typically going to go for younger women. I don't mean it to sound weird. I don't mean that to sound like a PDF or anything, but but just as guys are judged on financial, women are judged on looks and youth. That's just what it, and I'm gonna say youth with emphasis on legal. Um, so the best thing that you could do, just like how I understand that it's a high chance I'm not making it to the NBA. The best thing to do is be real with reality, and don't argue with people when reality is what it is, and just be real and understand that when you be real with yourself, you attract more. Just be honest about things. You know, stop hating on other women or anything, and stop judging guys for what they prefer, and show that you understand. Guys appreciate girls that understand. Like, meaning if you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you respecting that that's just how guys think, that may make a lot of guys attracted to you because they understand that you're finally taking a step to understand, man, and that's very attractive to a lot of guys. So that don't just tie into like single mother, that tied into a lot of women. That's huge game there. like like just be realistic. Be realistic. If you are a single mother, be realistic that you do have some baggage. Just own up to it. When you like calling alcoholic people go to Alcohol Anonymous, the first step is to own up to it. Like, say I'm whatever my name is, and I'm addicted to alcohol. Just own it. Say, yo, I got this baggage, and once you show that step into owning up to it, you could go much further from there. Don't have this like ego or like this cocky attitude. Um, just own up to it, and a lot of guys, they're going to appreciate that, and it's going to make them want to stick with you through it if they see that you're willing to own up to it. And I'm not saying own up to it to say like, oh, you're bad for having this or anything. Just own up to it is what it is, and where you're going to go from here. It is what it is, where you're going to go from here, and don't disrespect that guy if he's like, if he be honest on his initial preference, because like, you women know that your initial preference on guys is probably like a 6'4", $300,000 a year type of guy, and you typically settle for, somebody that's not that. So just be real, just like how you settle for, certain kind of man. Men are going to probably have to settle for you. Stop keeping tabs on who's like better or something, or who's more valuable or marketable. Just be realistic. Just own up to it. Let that man know, like, yo, I got this kids. I'm probably like this old. Baby dad do this. Just that will build a trust in that guy, and taking things further. That will be the trust in that guy and taking things further, knowing that lady is trying to go to the next step. Um, I'm very tired. I just actually did an essay for school, man. I hope I made sense in this video. This video is not to bash women with kids. I love everyone. I would still, the question, would I date a single mother? Um, I would still, possibly do that. Yeah. We got to think about everything, but it's still in the possibilities of it. I wouldn't, if her mind is strong, I wouldn't let that be a factor. For minor strong. We sat down and really talked about everything, and everything was owned up on. I have coworkers that are single mothers that have kids, and they're really good people, man. And the main thing is just making sure everybody has an understanding of each other, and just remember everything that I said in these videos. Those baggages do happen, and those obstacles do be in the way when there are kids there. Single mother in America, you're gonna have the same. If you're a man and you think about the pros and cons of single mothers like living in America, it's gonna be the same thing in different countries when you go. You might it's just gonna be the same obstacles whether you go to Philippines, Thailand, Chile, Honduras, Nicaragua, um, Saudi Arabia, or wherever, man. It's gonna be the same obstacles. If you want to stick through it or work through it, that's on you. If you don't, that's on you. But yeah, man, that's my thoughts on single mothers. There are baggage there, but everybody has baggage. My car note is a baggage for me. But yeah, just like women, just acknowledge it, and see where to go from there. Comment if I sounded harsh on this video. Comment if I sounded, like kind-hearted. Or comment if I didn't make sense at all. If you guys stuck through this whole 34, like minutes, I highly appreciate it. Please hit that notification bell, like, comment, and subscribe. And at the end of my videos, for the people that actually stuck through it, I'm going to do a surprise for you guys. Like, I'm going to say a random number right now, which is 34. And I'm going to do a few videos, and if you watch the whole videos and you remember every number that I said, and you tell me it when I ask you what is every number that I said I'm gonna give you like a nice prize. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Do not attack the messenger. I talk to a lot of guys, a lot of high value men, a lot of who you guys want to say low value men, and they all kind of think based on they all kind of think alike based just like what I just said. So don't attack me. Please don't attack me like that. And just like please just understand that I took a risk on being honest on this topic, or even talking about this topic. People get canceled from their people get canceled talking about things like this. That's why I'm saying that I hope that I talked about it kindly and everything. But I'm gonna end it here before I even sound more stupid or more mean. Again, like, comment, and subscribe, and I appreciate y'all. Peace out.